If you've thought about inheriting either your inheritance that you're providing someone else or money that you will be inheriting, we have some points to think through today in our episode. Stick around. So it's National Estate Planning Week. Chad Smith here, Cameron Hendricks joining me today. And we're talking through some ideas around inheriting money. We often talk with people on both sides of this issue when they're thinking about how they want their assets to be inherited. And then also the other side of it, if you are inheriting assets, how you should be thinking about it. So we broke it down on both sides of things. And if you're thinking about how you want your assets to pass to someone else, you're thinking about three ideas here that are important, right, Cameron? The first one being establishing your documents.
Right. That's where you got to start. So we're establishing documents, and that's you're thinking about your last will and testament, a trust, power of attorney, whatever applies to your situation and is recommended by your estate planning attorney.
And then when you're setting up those documents, a big decision often that makes people put it off is a guardian if you have children.
Yeah. So when my wife and I had children, it's a discussion between spouses of who do we want to appoint as the guardian of our kids if something were to happen to us. So it's a communication within the family and in between spouses.
Even though it's a low likelihood, it's a very important step to walk through and make sure you have down on paper. And then the third one, again, something that gets overlooked all the time is beneficiaries for retirement accounts.
Yeah, and these actually supersede that will that we just talked about. And that's a very important note to make is beneficiaries on your retirement accounts, your 401k, your IRAs, et cetera, as well as your life insurance policies, and making sure that these beneficiaries don't go stale. I mean, these need to make sure that you're keeping up with this, and if any changes need to be made, that they are done. And even old 401k accounts that you had at previous employers, make sure that those beneficiaries are how you want them to be.
So that's on the legacy planning side of the equation. If you're looking at the other side of the equation and you are inheriting assets, there's a different set of considerations that you want to think through. And the first one, and all of these gravitate around tax planning. So the first one is, how does this change, or how do you approach the withdrawal strategy?
Yeah, and that's a big factor here for 2020 with the Secure Act coming into play is now we have, for a non-spouse beneficiary, you have 10 years to make withdrawals on these accounts versus your lifetime, which is what the old rule was. So you have a much shorter window, and there's tax planning opportunities around that. So when do you actually make the withdrawals from the account? I mean, that's going to be based on your specific financial plan.
Speaking of that financial plan, those withdrawals could impact your overall tax that could be due. So then how would you approach the contributions that you're making to different retirement accounts in that situation?
This opens the discussion to how do we lower our taxable income? And that could be maxing out your 401k plans, making HSA contributions, or even if you're charitably inclined, making contributions to a donor advised fund. So when money coming in as an inheritance, now how do we utilize that to be the most tax efficient?
And then if we're moving into that age group where you're likely to get the highest amount of inheritances, not in terms of dollars, but the number of occurrences, it's in your 50s and 60s. And often you're deciding about income sources there and how that may change in delaying those potentially. So talk through that just a little bit.
Yeah. So if you're in your 50s or 60s, you're thinking about income after retirement. So whether that's Social Security, pension, et cetera. But sometimes you actually want to defer those income sources and take this inherited money in years of those low tax brackets and use up those low tax brackets in these years, and then take the Social Security or pension income later on. So that's where tax planning comes into play on an annual basis. And it just depends on your current position. If you're still working, if you're retired, what would be best for your situation.
Yeah, customized financial planning and tax planning, very important in these scenarios because it can be counterintuitive. Many think in that age range, I want to take my Social Security as soon as I can, but often that may not be the best step. So just understanding your overall picture. That's what we like to do daily at Financial Symmetry, but we also like to just prompt questions for you here on our YouTube channel that can make you think about how to handle different situations. If you have other questions, let us know. You can also subscribe if if this is the first video you've seen and you want to see others. And we have over 50 other videos that you can watch as well. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll talk to you again in 2 weeks.